Chapter 61 Trespassing into Human Territory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Lu Feng said that, a sly grin spread across his face. If he remembered correctly, Honghuang and the demon clan had some serious beef, right? Last time, Kunpeng and Di Juntai ambushed him, driving him straight into the clutches of the two sages of the West. Honghuang might be a bit naive about deep-seated grudges, but he wasn't a complete fool. He'd barely escaped with his life after abandoning his physical form. If he hadn't run into Nuwa later, he'd probably be worm food by now, with a golden opportunity to make Honghuang feel better. Lu Feng was happy to help, if he was picking up the right vibes. That ruckus at the foot of Honghuang Mountain was definitely the demon race. Lu Feng had already taken a swing at the demon clan once before, but apparently, they were back for more. He wondered which general was causing the commotion on Honghuang Mountain this time. Bottom line, no matter who it was, Honghuang wasn't going to let them off easy. Just as he was thinking this, a figure suddenly appeared beside Lu Feng. Hey, Lu Feng. Does that commotion sound like demon clan energy to you? Lu Feng smiled and nodded. Sure does. But I'm not sure who they're fighting. Sounds like a real brawl, though. Good thing he'd set up those formations on Honghuang Mountain. Otherwise, with a fight that big, countless humans could have gotten caught in the crossfire. Honghuang's face turned grim at this news. Whoever it is, let's go see what's up. With that, Honghuang took off toward the noise. Lu Feng was happy to watch the fireworks, so he quickly followed. Well, wouldn't you know it? Talk about running into enemies in the worst possible place. It was Kunpeng causing all the trouble on their Honghuang Mountain. Although, Lu Feng didn't recognize the people Kunpeng, Qiongqi, and Beis were fighting, the woman was wearing a golden robe, her hair loose around her shoulders, and her delicate face was frosty. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Honghuang saw that Kunpeng and his crew were ganging up on a woman. He didn't even bother to ask who she was. He jumped in front of her and roared. You've got some nerve, Kunpeng. This is Honghuang Mountain, human territory. You dare to disrupt the peace here. What do you think you're doing? Honghuang charged at Kunpeng, ready to rumble. At the same time, the 99 soul-removing gourd hanging from his waist launched itself at Kunpeng. Kunpeng looked awful, but he had no choice but to defend against Honghuang's attack with everything he had. The space around them became a chaotic mess of raw power, and large chunks of reality started to crumble. Honghuang didn't even need to throw a punch. He just used the 99 soul-removing gourd to smack Kunpeng across the field. The fact that Honghuang had gone to Zixiao Palace to hear the sermons back in the day meant he was no pushover. If it hadn't been for that little weasel Kunpeng ambushing him, Honghuang would be even more of a powerhouse now. Thinking about this, Honghuang glared at Kunpeng with pure rage. Kunpeng looked back with hatred, but he was helpless against Honghuang. Strength-wise, Honghuang was clearly the stronger of the two. One shot from Honghuang's weapon had already left Kunpeng seriously injured. Kunpeng's gaze darted past Honghuang to the woman behind him, and his eyes showed his frustration. Seeing this, Qiongqi and Bai Zai rushed to help Kunpeng up. Qiongqi, being arrogant, immediately started yelling. So, you're trying to stop us today? Honghuang scoffed. I wasn't planning to. But you're causing a scene in human territory. What do you expect me, as the deputy leader, to do? Humans are fragile. If you fight here, countless humans will die. When the saints come looking for someone to blame, who's going to take responsibility? With the threat of the saints hanging over him, Qiongqi shut his mouth, even though he was itching for a fight. But Bai Zai chuckled, trying to defuse the situation. Hey, we're all family here, no need for a feud, right? The human religion was founded by Emperor Hua, who also happens to be the demon emperor of our demon court. Why don't we just say we're one big happy family? How about you let us take this person, Honghuang? We'll take the heat if anyone comes asking questions. Lu Feng couldn't help but click his tongue. What a guy, he's the demon court spin master for a reason. The way he put it made them sound like they were on the same team. But Lu Feng picked up on some of the other information in Bai Zai's statement. He immediately looked at the woman behind Honghuang. He wasn't sure who this woman was, but she'd managed to get 3 quasi-sages from the demon court to do her bidding. Logically speaking, the first female saint in this world was his teacher. There weren't many other powerful female experts around, except for the one from Buzhou Mountain. Lu Feng's heart skipped a beat when he thought of Buzhou Mountain. The only ones who could command 3 quasi-sages from the demon clan were the witch clan. And among the famous women of the Wu clan, wasn't there only one Hudu? Could this woman be Ho too? Thinking about this, Lu Feng knew he couldn't let the monster clan leave. At the very least, he couldn't let them take down Hudu. After all, Lu Feng was counting on Hudu to create that tunnel. When the 3 realms of heaven, earth, and man appeared together, the prehistoric world could handle up to 27 saints. In the future, his teacher and Huda could work together to keep the balance between the heavens and the earth. If that was the case, Qiongqi and his crew had to be stopped ASAP, so, just when Hongyun was starting to cave, Lu Feng cut in. Deputy leader, our teacher said that even the demon clan can't just waltz into human territory. Today Kunpeng and his friends have broken that rule. You know what to do. Hongyun had been wavering when he heard Bai Zai's words. Even though he had a major problem with the demon clan, Nuwa was still the demon emperor of the demon court. For her sake, he was thinking about backing down, but then Lu Feng jumped in and said that the leader had already given him marching orders, which made everything much easier. Hongyun snapped back to attention. Kunpeng, you're trespassing on human territory. Today, you're going to pay for it. Seeing that Hongyun was about to jump them again, Kunpeng gritted his teeth. It was impossible to take Hutu away today. They might all get taken down by Hongyun. Hongyun was a powerhouse for a reason. They couldn't win this fight. Chapter 62 1 Make trouble when you go out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kunpeng took a deep breath, trying to control his anger, and spat out, I'll remember this. We'll settle this another day. He barked at Bai Zai, let's go. Kunpeng transformed into his true form, the massive Duping bird, and with Bai Zai and Qiongqi in tow, headed straight back to the demon court. After they were gone, Huda looked at Lu Feng and Hongyun and bowed to Lu Feng. Huda thanks you, fellow Daoist, for saving me. Then, turning to Hongyun, thank you as well, fellow Daoist Hongyun. She knew Hongyun, of course, but Lu Feng was a new face, so she wasn't as familiar with him. Lu Feng waved his hand dismissively. No need for such formalities, Ho Tu Zuwu. These monsters had no right to stir up trouble among the humans. We couldn't just stand by. He added, besides, you and my teacher are old friends. Helping you is just the natural thing to do. Surprise flickered in Huda's eyes. May I ask who your teacher is? Before Lu Feng could answer, Hongyun chimed in with a smile, Lu Feng's teacher is Saint Nuwa. Huda looked at Lu Feng again, even more surprised than before. She'd heard rumors about him, but he didn't seem to fit the description. Judging by his strength, he wasn't as useless as everyone said. Lu Feng, oblivious to her thoughts, would have been quick to complain about the prehistoric gossip mill if he'd known. Thousands of years had passed. If his strength hadn't improved, his system-given golden finger would have been a waste. Huda considered something for a moment. I won't forget today's help. But I have other matters to attend to and must be going. Lu Feng couldn't help but ask, are you looking for an opportunity for the witch clan? Huda was taken aback that Lu Feng knew her reason for being there. Her eyes widened in shock, seeing an opportunity to put himself in her good graces. Lu Feng continued, you should head straight to the netherworld Blood Sea. You might find what you're looking for there. The words Netherworld Blood Sea resonated deeply within Hudu. She felt a pull, like destiny calling her, but even more surprising was how Lu Feng knew her chance lay in that particular place. She couldn't dwell on it. She nodded and gave Lu Feng a solemn bow. Thank you, Lu Feng. I'll go to the Netherworld Blood Sea immediately. If it's as you say, I will be sure to repay you handsomely. Lu Feng didn't care about any gifts. Could anything she gave him compare to what the system offered? He was more interested in Huda creating the tunnel as soon as possible. Ideally, Hongjun would be furious and choke. Ho Tu quickly departed for the Netherworld Blood Sea, while Lu Feng turned to Hongyun with a happy grin. Deputy leader, shall we head back too? Hongyun was perplexed. How could Lu Feng, only a Daoyuo golden immortal, know about someone else's destiny? Friend Lu Feng, how did you know about Huda's destination? He asked, though he knew it might be a private matter. Curiosity got the better of him. Lu Feng chuckled, a mysterious glint in his eyes. I have my sources. Seeing the knowing smile on Lu Feng's face, Honghuang clammed up. This probably involved the sage's plans. Maybe Lu Feng's return to Shouyang Mountain had been orchestrated by the sage. If so, then the saint's schemes were truly terrifying. Honghuang, feeling unnerved, distanced himself from Lu Feng. Seeing the game was up, Lu Feng returned to his cave and fired up the Dao disc. After signing in for so many days, he still hadn't finished his daily report. What luck! I ran into Kunpeng and Hudazuwu fighting it out. Gotta say, Deputy Leader Honghuang is strong. He really messed Kunpeng up. Hudazuwu wanted to thank me. She's pretty good looking. Wonder if she'd kill me if I told her I'd give her my life. As Lu Feng composed his report, he couldn't help but picture Huda's delicate features and mesmerizing figure. Unlike his cold teacher, Huda had an alluring, untamed quality. Who could resist that? If you really think about the female cultivators of the ancient times, there are quite a few. First there's my teacher Nuwa, then the Queen Mother of the West, Changxi, Shiha, and on. These female cultivators are all extremely beautiful, and each has their own unique temperament. Lu Feng thought that if he had the chance, he should take a good look at these beautiful female nuns. It would be great to have a big platform to gather all these female cultivators together so that he can feast his eyes on them. However, Lu Feng only dared to think about it in his mind, and how could he dare to put it into practice? Thinking of this, Lu Feng couldn't help but look at Dao Pan. As expected, soon the road plate lit up. Congratulations to the host for completing today's sign-in and obtaining the Honghuang Dao level skill and creation sutra. Hearing this prompt, Lu Feng was stunned for a moment. When he reacted, he immediately became excited. It's actually a Honghuang Dao level technique. This is just right for your own teachers to use. Now we have the golden sword of luck, the Zhuguo, and the techniques. The teacher can directly break away from the shackles of the way of heaven and create the way of humanity. Thinking of this, Lu Feng couldn't help but become excited. However, Lu Feng soon had a headache about how to deliver this technique to his teacher. Last time on the occasion of the teacher's birthday, he gave him the golden knife of luck. Now that I still have Zhuguo and Kung Fu in my hand, I can't give them away on my birthday, right? It seems that this needs to be carefully considered. At this moment, Nuwa, the Emperor of Emperor Hua, had just come out of seclusion. Now Nuwa has developed the habit of going to Lu Feng's report as soon as she comes out of confinement. Sure enough, Lu Feng had saved a lot during this period, and the expression on Nuwa's face softened a lot after listening to the daily reports. I didn't expect this kid to be living so coolly recently. However, soon, the report came to the time when Lu Feng and Tong Tian were competing. I even said I wouldn't compete with Master Tong Tian, but he insisted on competing with me. In the end, he actually lost to me and even gave me his 4 swords of killing immortals. Today is indeed a good day. Hearing this, Nuwa felt numb for a while. He knew that Lu Feng would cause trouble as soon as he went out. Chapter 63, Get Rid of the Way of Heaven. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Last time, he snagged 24 Dinghai divine pearls from Tong Tian, and now he's got the 4 swords of Zhu Xian. Hongjuan originally gave the 4 swords of Zhu Xian, acquired spiritual treasures, to Tong Tian. Back in the day, Hongjuan used those swords against the demon ancestor Luoho, turning the West into the wasteland it is today. Who would have thought those immortal killing swords would end up in the hands of that kid? Hold on, Lu Feng is just a Daoyuo Jinxian. How did he beat a saint? Nuwa was baffled, wondering if she'd missed something. Like Lu Feng leveling up, she double-checked, but there was no announcement of Lu Feng's promotion. Usually, if Lu Feng leveled up, the avenue would be all abuzz about it, but Nuwa found nothing, which meant Lu Feng was still at his old rank. So how can he, as a Daoyuo Jinxian, be calling the shots? It's unbelievable. Plus, Tongtian's a master swordsman and strategist. How did Lu Feng win? Nuwa was stumped. She decided to keep listening, hoping to find a clue. Then, she heard a familiar name. Zhu Guo. Nuwa's eyes widened in shock, and it's a Huanyuan level Zhu Guo. That stuff is super rare. How did Lu Feng get his hands on it? If Lu Feng has that zhuguo, he might actually break free from the heavenly Tao's grip. After all, it could save her a lot of time reclaiming her true path. Before he hits Honghuang Daoyuo Jingxian, anything could happen. Nuwa hadn't been afraid of Sanqing or the second saints of the West back when they hadn't yet attained enlightenment, not since she was promoted to a saint, but now. If Nuwa wanted to ditch the heavenly Tao's shackles, she'd have to give up her heavenly Tao fruits, and if she did, her power would quickly drop back to quasi-sage level. Who's to say Sanqing and the second sage of the West wouldn't come looking for trouble then? So, for Nuwa, the sooner she completes her cultivation of Tao fruit, the better. Zhuguo, which could be directly refined to replace her own Honghuang Tao fruit, is custom-made for her right now. I just hope my disciple will have the wherewithal to offer these good things up to me. Nuwa's eyes lit up with anticipation, and she listened on with renewed interest. I ran into Ho Tu today. I told her that her chance lies in the netherworld sea of blood, and I hope she finds it. I'm counting on Ho Tu to create a tunnel. When humanity and the tunnels are out, let's see how cocky Hongjun still is. Hearing Lu Feng's words, Nuwa's face darkened. So that's what my dear disciple is up to. And he ran into Ho Tu on his way back from Yangshan. I wonder how my apprentice figured that out. Looks like Lu Feng's calculations are pretty spot on. Nuwa's starting to trust Lu Feng completely. He's different from everyone else, he's got lots of opportunities and good luck, plus, Lu Feng seems to know a lot of insider info. But when Nuwa heard that Lu Feng wanted Ho Tu to, devote herself to him, she couldn't help but blush. Seriously? Is that all they care about? Why are they all so into her? Am I really that much less attractive than Hudu? Nuwa was genuinely annoyed. In this ancient world, Nuwa's a big deal, but Lu Feng, that little punk, is out there praising other female cultivators, even thinking about marrying them. How shameless. The more Nuwa thought about it, the angrier she got. But she held it in and kept listening to the report. I've learned a new skill. It's all about the laws of creation. It seems like it's made for you, teacher. I just don't know how to get this technique to you. After all, this technique is the key for you to ditch your heavenly Tao status. Knowing her apprentice hadn't forgotten her, Nuwa's anger melted away, replaced by a surge of excitement. That's my apprentice. He's not one of those ungrateful types. Since my disciple doesn't know how to deliver the gift, maybe I should go see it myself. Nuwa couldn't help but get excited at the thought of breaking free from the heavenly Tao's grip. Maybe it was because she'd been hanging around Lu Feng too much, but Nuwa, once so calm and majestic, now had a hint of playfulness in her. Meanwhile, Lu Feng had no idea Nuwa was coming, he was just chilling and practicing. It was getting boring, spending every day looking at flowers, raising flowers, and walking around with fish. So he naturally started to get bored, and when Lu Feng gets bored, he just goes to practice to pass the time. Nuwa showed up unannounced, as usual. Lu Feng. Hearing Nuwa's voice, Lu Feng opened his eyes to see that Nuwa was already sitting at the small square table next to his bed. Lu Feng couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. Teacher, could you give me a heads up next time you come over? It's actually kind of scary when she just pops in like that, especially when Lu Feng was in his cave. Sometimes he would do things to exercise his hand muscles. If Nuwa barged in like that, would he have any dignity left? Lu Feng shot Nuwa a resentful look, but Nuwa pretended not to notice and said with a smile, actually, it's nothing big. I just came out of seclusion and figured out that my opportunity is in this direction. Lu Feng's heart skipped a beat, so there really is a connection between saints and opportunities. Too bad Lu Feng had never experienced it himself. He couldn't help but grin. Oh, you came here for your chance. Teacher, I just happen to have a couple of treasures I'd like you to take a look at. Nuwa knew exactly what Lu Feng was about to pull out, but she played along. Oh, what are you going to show me? Lu Feng quickly handed over a jade slip and a small wooden box. Nuwa glanced at the two items. After a moment's thought, she decided to check out the techniques first. The Book of Creation. Now that's a powerful name. Chapter 64. Congratulations to your Majesty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nuwa examined it closely. Even though she'd been expecting it, she still gasped at the technique Lu Feng had given her. To think something like this could be found out in the wild. You're thoughtful. Lu Feng smiled, not elaborating, but giving Nuwa these two things lifted a huge weight off his shoulders. Nuwa began to study the technique, whether she grasped it immediately or not. Once she did, she realized just how profound this creation sutra was. The principles of creation within were far beyond her current understanding. Nuwa became a saint through creating humans, after all. Even so, her mastery of creation wasn't perfect, but practicing this technique would instantly bring the law of creation to completion. Nuwa grew impatient at the thought. Despite her eagerness, she didn't forget to look at her apprentice. Where on earth did you get this, disciple? He didn't just stumble upon it again, did he? Lu Feng hadn't expected Nuwa to press him, so he used the excuse he'd prepared. I discovered these two things by chance while traveling in the ancient wilderness. Sadly, I didn't realize my own limitations back then. I later realized this technique wasn't something I could practice at all. It's far more suited to you, teacher. Nuwa knew Lu Feng was making it up, so she simply waved it off. In that case, consider it your good fortune. Alright, I'm going into seclusion to practice. I'll leave the teaching of those people to you and Honghuang for now. With that, Nuwa vanished in a flash of light. Lu Feng was surprised at how quickly she'd left. It felt like she came to Zhugwa solely for the technique, but he quickly dismissed the thought. Impossible, there's no way she could have known he had such a thing. After all, he had the Chaos Orb and the Great Tao Disc to conceal his secrets. Even Honghuang couldn't guess anything about him, so how could Nuwa? He decided to stop worrying about it. The important thing was that he'd given the thing away. Then it hit him. Wait a minute. He'd given away 2 Chaos Avenue level treasures for nothing. And his teacher just left like that? Not even a hint of a reward. Meanwhile, in the demon court, Kunpeng was in no state to be concerned with Lu Feng's disappointment. He was currently leading Bai Zhe and Qiong Qi to the demon palace. He'd had terrible luck. He'd gone out on a rare mission and run into Honghuang. Plus, the 99 soul-removing gourd in Honghuang's hand was not something anyone wanted to encounter. If Kunpeng hadn't been prepared, he might have been turned into a puddle of goo. Even so, he felt his body starting to decay. Kunpeng relied on his tough body to hold his place in the demon palace. Honghuang's attack had shaken him to his core. It would take tens of thousands of years and countless treasures to recover from an injury like that. His body ached just thinking about it. But then Kunpeng's eyes lit up. They'd been badly injured on this mission. If they went to His Majesty, he might have a healing treasure to offer. He immediately sped up. Soon, Kunpeng and the others stood before Di Jun and Tai. Seeing them return injured surprised Di Jun. How did you get so badly hurt? Di Jun was far stronger than the three of them and had Hichu Luo Shu, so he immediately saw Kunpeng's injuries. Kunpeng burst into tears. Your Majesty, you won't believe it. We were about to capture Hudu, but the human cult intervened. That person has the backing of Saint Nuwa. How could I stand against that? Honghuang also joined the human cult. He attacked and beat us into this state. Kunpeng cried pitifully. Bai Zhe rolled his eyes. He wasn't the smartest in the demon court, but he was definitely in the top 3. Kunpeng's act was too obvious. It didn't take a genius to see that Kunpeng was afraid of being blamed, so he was throwing himself at their mercy first. That way, His Majesty's anger would be directed at Honghuang and Lu Feng of the human cult, and he wouldn't bother blaming them. Bai Zhe decided to join in and fan the flames. That's right, Your Majesty, we were about to capture Hudu when Honghuang showed up and interfered. Then Lu Feng swore we were disturbing them and beat us up. Qiongqi was dense. Seeing Kunpeng and Bai Zhe say this, he simply nodded along. That's right, Lu Feng did say that. He also said the saint forbade us from disturbing them, so he wanted to teach us a lesson. Kunpeng and Bai Zhe hadn't expected Qiongqi to say anything useful, but the idiot had accidentally repeated Lu Feng's words exactly. Sure enough, Di Jun's expression darkened. Tai slammed the table angrily. That Lu Feng is too arrogant. He's just a golden immortal and dares to speak so carelessly. Nuwa is also Emperor Wa of our heaven, so what's wrong with our demon race being taught by humans? Could it be that Emperor Hua is planning to leave our demon clan? Di Jun glared at Tai. Watch your tongue. Tai knew he'd misspoke. In this primitive world, neither they nor the lower creatures could freely criticize the saints. However, this time, there was no warning from the heavenly Tao. Di Jun and Tai were surprised, but before they could figure it out, several more demon saints entered the demon palace. Their faces were beaming. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Congratulations, Your Majesty. What great news. Tai was curious, what good news could there be at this point? Chapter 65 Great Tonic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Before Tai could get a word in, the demon saint down below piped up. Your Majesty, get this, our scouts have discovered the human race has some serious perks for us demons. Di Jun and Tai exchanged a look, then sat up straighter. Lay it on us. With Di Jun's go-ahead, the demon saint wasted no time. It started with a low-level demon. He wandered over to Shouyang Mountain and snacked on some humans who were all alone. Turns out, human blood is like rocket fuel for our kind. So now, you got demons sneaking around, hunting humans on the sly. And get this, over the last 1,000 years, they stumbled on the fact that human souls are super pure. If you absorb and refine them, you can jump up a whole level in your cultivation. Plus, it'll patch up any damage to your soul. That even Di Jun felt his heart skip a beat. Humans, who knew these little humans were like a superfood for demons? The fight between the witch and demon tribes is only getting uglier, but the witch tribe are tough cookies. Their bodies are indestructible. When they go head to head, the demon clan gets hooped. But what if there's a demon clan that eats humans? Di Jun cut off the thought. Dig deeper. I want the full picture, everything. If human souls are this potent, maybe they can weaponize it somehow. Looks like it's time to dust off Hichu Luo Shu. Di Jun never gave the humans a second thought before, but now, they seemed like a gift from the gods. Yes, Your Majesty. Di Jun couldn't wait. He pulled out the Hichu Luo Shu and got to work. After some calculations, Di Jun's eyes went wide at what he saw. Tai was equally stunned. Brother, this is... Di Jun shook his head, a new caution in his eyes. He whispered, almost reverently, witch-slaying sword. Forged with human essence and blood, it'll shatter an ancestral witch's true form. Di Jun struggled to get the words out. These treasures need a boatload of humans to stack up accurately, and it's the ultimate weapon against the witch clan. With the witch-slaying sword, the witch clan's tough bodies don't seem so scary. Who would have known that this small human race would be like another village with hidden flowers and dark flowers? It feels like discovering the treasure. If they don't put this to use, wouldn't it be a waste of all his hard work? He just didn't expect that the way to break the situation lies with the human race. Although the human race was created by Nuwa, but recently, Emperor Juntai's dissatisfaction with Nuwa has been increasing day by day. In the past, Di Jun might have hesitated a little for Nuwa's sake. Now that Lu Feng and Honghuang have intervened in Ho Tu's matter, Di Jun is not so good-tempered and will continue to tolerate it. Since Lord Honghuang is not willing to interfere in the affairs of the demon clan, then he will lend it to the human clan. But Di Jun still had to think carefully about how to collect the essence and blood of that human race to refine the witch-slaying sword. After all, the human race was created by saints, and Nuwa became a saint in one fell swoop by creating the human race. It can even be said that the human race is the foundation of Nuwa's sanctification, and he wants to shake the foundation of her sanctification. Di Jun's eyes darkened a bit. It seems that this matter still needs to be considered in the long term. Thinking of this, Di Jun put away Hichu Luo Shu. Keep this under wraps. If I hear a whisper. Di Jun's eyes swept over Kunpeng and the others, sending chills down their spines. They quickly swore their loyalty. Your Majesty, we understand. Di Jun shut down the meeting and dismissed Kunpeng and the rest. Tai finally burst out, brother, why not just wipe out the humans and forge the witch-slaying sword? We finally have a way to mess with the witch clan. Let's do it. Di Jun shook his head, his eyes grim. Not so simple. What's not simple? Tai blurted out, then caught himself. You're worried about the saint coming after us, aren't you? Di Jun nodded. Exactly. Those humans are Saint Nuwa's bread and butter. We massacre them, we risk making her our enemy. Tai scowled. Saint Nuwa hasn't lifted a finger for our demon clan since she joined. She was nowhere to be found when the Lich clans were at war. She's happy to soak up our demon court's good fortune, but she keeps throwing roadblocks in our way. So what if we off a few of her humans? Tai was just saying what Di Jun was already thinking. He just couldn't shake his reservations. Before Di Jun could plot his next move, purple clouds rolled across the sky outside the demon court, and golden light flooded the heavens. A beam of light shot straight into the demon palace. Seeing who it was, Di Jun and Tai leaped to their feet and bowed. We greet the saint. Di Jun lowered his head, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Why was the original heavenly lord showing up now? Yuanche nodded and said casually. By order of Honghuang Taoist ancestor, I have come to aid the demon clan and forge the witch-slaying sword. Di Jun's heart skipped a beat at the words witch sword, then his eyes shone with elation. Talk about a lucky break. Dao ancestor was on top of things, sending a saint himself to back the demon clan. It looked like their plan to unite the ancient world was about to fall into place. Di Jun bowed again. We thank you, saint. But, to forge this witch-slaying sword, I'm afraid we'll need Saint Nuwa's blessing. Yuanche waved a dismissive hand. This is destiny. How can junior sister's opinion go against God's will? Di Jun was thrilled. Yuanche's words meant that Daozu was in their corner. Looks like Nuwa's resistance was gone, paving the way for them to mass-produce the witch-slaying sword. After Yuanche spoke, he gave Di Jun and Tai a knowing look, then turned into a beam of light and vanished from the demon court. Once Yuanche was gone, Di Jun and Tai couldn't hide their joy. Brother, I didn't expect Dao ancestor to step in personally. Now, not even a saint can stop us, right? Di Jun was pleased, but even more, he was riding high. Even Dao ancestor was on his side, sending Yuanche himself with the order. Victory for the demon clan was within reach. All they had to do was wait for the witch-slaying sword to be forged, then, the Wu clan wouldn't stand a chance. Chapter 66 The Witch-Slaying Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Maybe it was because he sensed victory was near, but Di Jun didn't waste any time. He immediately summoned all the demon clans. Demons, listen up. Divide the 10 demon gods into 10 teams, and have them lead millions of demon saint-level demon generals to attack the humans. Make sure to grab all the human souls and blood. Kunpeng and the others were caught off guard by Di Jun's sudden decision. What surprised them even more was that Emperor Jun and his brother Tai were taking charge themselves, personally leading the 10 demon gods to attack the humans. This kind of deployment rivaled their assault on the Wu clan. The kicker was that the human race only numbered around 1 million people. How could they justify deploying trillions of troops? But none of the demons dared to voice any objections. They quickly lined up, following the lead of the 10 demon gods, and headed straight for Shouyang Mountain. The demon clan's massive show of force shook the entire world. Even Lu Feng noticed the commotion. Are the witch and demon clans about to clash again? Why are the demons making such a huge deal out of this? Looks like I should stay put for a while. Best to keep the door shut. Actually, the formation at the foot of Shouyang Mountain could use some reinforcement. Lu Feng wanted no part of the Lich War. Anyone who got in the middle of that was as good as dead. Suddenly, an idea flickered in Lu Feng's mind. It was gone as quickly as it came, and Lu Feng couldn't quite grasp it, so he let it go. The demon clan's huge mobilization drew everyone's attention. Hudu, wandering in the wilderness, couldn't help but glance in their direction. Since mastering her Yuanshen, Hudu had gained the ability to sense heavenly secrets. She was strong to begin with. Now, seeing the demon clan's massive army, she worried they were coming for the Wu clan, but when she tried to divine their intentions, her face turned grim. This time, the demons weren't after the Wu clan, they were after the humans. Ho-Tu tried to see if she could thwart the demon tribe's plans, but every time she tried, she only saw fog. Whatever the reason, it couldn't be good that the demons were heading straight for the humans with such force. Remembering Lu Feng and Hong Yun's help, Ho-Tu immediately flew toward Shouyang Mountain. she didn't know why the demons were attacking the humans during the critical stage of the war between the two clans. The human race was weak and posed no threat to the demons, but deep down, she had a premonition, the demons were up to something, and behind this attack on the humans, there might be a plot against their own Wu clan. With that thought, Huda changed direction. She flew at top speed, arriving at Buzhou Mountain in no time. Di Jiang and the others sensed their little sister's return and rushed to greet her. "Little sister, why are you back so suddenly? Weren't you out searching for opportunities?" Ho Tu shook her head, not bothering with explanations. "Brothers, gather all the Wu clan right now. The demon clan's aggression may spell trouble for our Wu clan. Besides, Kunpeng and the others tried to kill me a few days ago. Luckily, Lu Feng helped me, or I might have fallen into Emperor Jun's hands." Di Jiang was shocked, but when he learned that the demons had actually dared to attack their little sister, rage filled his heart. "Those bastards actually tried to kill you while we were gone." Di Jiang and his brothers were fiercely protective of their little sister. Now that they knew she had almost been killed, they couldn't contain their anger. They wanted to crush the demons to dust. Zhu Rong finally caught up. "Hold on, who's Lu Feng?" Hearing Lu Feng's name, Ho Tu quickly explained. "If it wasn't for the human sect leader's disciple, and he was trying to manipulate me, I would definitely have fallen into the hands of Kunpeng and others that day." Now all the ancestral witches were seething. "Let's go. Gather the entire witch clan and head to the human clan to face off against the demons." Back at Shouyang Mountain, Lu Feng dragged his recliner outside. He casually watched the lotus in the pond, occasionally popping a lotus seed into his mouth. "Seriously, why are these demons making such a big fuss?" Lu Feng frowned as he saw the imposing force in the distance. Before he could settle in, dark clouds of demons suddenly blanketed all of Shouyang Mountain. Now Lu Feng couldn't stay put. He thought, they're definitely coming for the humans. Hongyun rushed to Lu Feng's cave. Looking at the dense clouds overhead, Hongyun frowned. "I'm guessing the demon clan is here because of Kunpeng's mess, right?" Lu Feng glanced at the swarming demon generals and thought it seemed a bit extreme. If it was just to avenge Kunpeng, why would Di Jun and the others send so many demon generals? Couldn't they just handle it themselves? Suddenly, something clicked in Lu Feng's mind. The witch-slaying sword. During the Lich War, the human race was devastated. The reason was the demon clan's desire to create the witch-slaying sword, but the war between the Lich clans had only been going on for a few thousand years, not even 10,000. Why was Di Jun massacring the human race now to refine the witch-slaying sword? Something was wrong. Very wrong. But Lu Feng couldn't figure out what for the life of him. The demon clan's invasion caused widespread panic among the humans. Soon, Xuandu arrived at Lu Feng's cave. "Master, the demons seem to have come with bad intentions. What should we do?" Lu Feng sneered, stood up from his recliner, and stretched. "What else can we do?" "We fight." Hearing Lu Feng's words, Xuandu gasped. "Master, that's millions of demon troops, and the two demon emperors themselves are leading the charge. How can the humans possibly stand a chance?" Lu Feng knew he needed to set Xuandu straight. "Even if we can't win, do you think the demons will spare the humans?" Xuandu was stunned, at a loss for words. Their human race was created by the Saint Nuwa. Di Jun and Tai Yi knew that, but they clearly didn't care about the saint's opinion anymore, given their aggression. After a moment, Xuandu's gaze turned determined. "Then the humans will fight. If they didn't fight, there might not be any survivors, but if they fought, they at least had a chance." Chapter 67. There's a good show to watch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xuandu was revered among humans, and they flocked to him instantly. "All races, listen up. Follow me and fight these monsters." Besides the three human ancestors, millions of humans quickly formed a battle line. This was a catastrophic moment for humanity, and that only strengthened their resolve not to surrender. In an instant, the whole world shifted. Humans charged the monsters relentlessly. Seeing this, Hongyun didn't hesitate. He led the three ancestors into the fray, but before engaging, he glanced at Di Jun and Tai Yi, who stood aloof in the distance. The human race is the foundation of human religion, created by Saint Nuwa herself. You slaughter them today. Do you know how the saint will hold you accountable? Di Jun replied coldly. Then why haven't we seen the saint come despite all this commotion? Hongyun's expression shifted as realization dawned. Those bastards. They dared attack the saint. Saint Nuwa, no less. But there was no time to dwell on it. Di Jun had given the order, exterminate the human race. The more, the better. The monsters, bloodthirsty and enraged, unleashed a surge of power at the foot of Shuyang Mountain. Thanks to Lu Feng's early efforts, the humans, though caught off guard, were not defenseless. The battle raged, tearing holes in space itself. The demon clan's 10 demon gods personally joined the slaughter, felling countless humans with a wave of their hands. Honghuang, stunned by the carnage, summoned his 9 soul-removing gourd. But Di Jun and Tai had anticipated this. Tai stepped forward. I knew you'd get involved. Let me test your strength, fellow Daoist Honghuang. As the demon court's top fighter, Tai was eager to gauge the power of Honghuang, the most powerful figure under the saints, an opportunity he hadn't had before. Honghuang's gaze hardened. He faced off against Tai. Di Jun and Tai had planned for this. Besides Nuwa, Honghuang was the only member of the human sect whose strength they could assess. To decimate the human race, they needed to eliminate Honghuang first. Plus, Honghuang had injured Kunpeng recently. For the sake of their reputation alone, Tai and Di Jun wouldn't let him escape unscathed this time. Honghuang was more than capable of holding his own against Tai, but seeing the stalemate, Di Jun decided to intervene. Finish him quickly, before he ruins our plan. With 2 quasi-sages against him, Honghuang was overwhelmed and began to lose ground. Suddenly, a whisk flew into the fray. While I'm here, no one hurts my brother. Jin Yuanzi appeared and pulled Di Jun away from the fight. Brother Honghuang, focus on that 3-legged crow. I'll handle this one. Jin Yuanzi was no pushover. Moreover, all 4 were at the peak of quasi-saints. A battle between them could go either way. Lu Feng hadn't expected such a rapid shift in the battle. He narrowed his eyes. Xuandu. Hearing his teacher's call, Xuandu hurried to Lu Feng's side. As only a golden immortal, he was barely able to navigate the demon ranks. The demon clan had mostly sent Daoyuo golden immortals and Tai golden immortals, with even the weakest being golden immortals. Lu Feng placed a formation diagram on Xuandu's back. See those 10 demon gods? Go beat them up. I have important things to do. I'll be back. Xuandu felt a surge of power coursing through him. Before he could process it, his hands were filled with innate spiritual treasures. This is the demon-slaying sword. Go kill them. Xuandu stared, stunned. Teacher, if you give this to me, what will you do? Lu Feng smiled. Don't worry, your teacher has plenty. I drew a formation for you that will temporarily make your strength reach the level of quasi-sage. With the demon-slaying sword in your hand, dealing with those demon gods won't be a problem. The 10 demon gods were quasi-sage cultivators, but this innate spiritual treasure in Xuandu's hand was a powerful weapon against monsters. Killing them would be like chopping potatoes, fast, accurate, and brutal. Trusting his teacher implicitly, Xuandu charged into the battlefield, demon-slaying sword in hand. The 10 demon gods instantly felt a shift in pressure. They thought they could easily crush this human boy, but their attacks were useless. Baizhe was the first to realize. He's got defensive magic items. Even as he said it, Xuandu swung his sword. Xuandu wasn't exactly a master swordsman, but that was only due to a lack of deep understanding. It didn't mean he hadn't practiced. The sword nearly severed Baizhe's nose. Baizhe felt his spiritual power rapidly draining away. His eyes fixed on the sword in Xiandu's hand. The things in his hands are restrained by our demon clan. But it was too late. Xuandu, like a god of death, carved a path through the demon ranks. The 10 demon gods were especially vulnerable, getting chopped like vegetables. He struck true every time. The human lines began to stabilize. Lu Feng nodded, satisfied, and touched the teleportation array in his hand. If Di Jun and Tai were bold enough to barge in, something must have happened to the teacher. What exactly? He must have been held up. According to the original timeline, Sanqing should have joined forces to trap the teacher in Honghuang heaven, but things had changed drastically. Tong Tian was now in his debt, and wouldn't participate. since he wasn't a saint at all, who was going to block the door. That left Yuanshi. He might want to block the door, but did he have the power? So maybe the two from the west had intervened. The teacher's strength was more than a match for the two sages of the west, but they could easily contain him. He'd go release the teacher from Honghuang heaven. That would be a sight to see. Chapter 68, One Fight Against Three Saints. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nuwa was furious. She'd seen it coming when Yuanshi went to the demon palace. They were pulling out all the stops for this fight. Even Emperor Jun hadn't hesitated, immediately throwing a huge monster army into the mix. They were completely ignoring her as a saint. But what Nuwa didn't expect was even worse. The second sages of the West had the nerve to block her door. She glared at the two Westerners, murderous intent blazing in her eyes. I'm busy, so I won't keep you two for dinner. Please step aside. Jane smiled serenely. Junior sister Nuwa, it's heaven's will that the demon clan create the slaughter sword. You used to be erratic, going against the grain. Don't act on a whim now. Nuwa scoffed. Heaven's will, my foot. It's just Hongjun calling the shots. If fate insists on suppressing me today, then I'll turn the world upside down. That as Nuwa roared, thunderclouds gathered over Honghuang. These thunderclouds were 1,000 times thicker than during any previous calamity. Even the two Westerners paled. Had Nuwa gone completely bonkers with rage? How could heavenly saints say such things? Did she not care about her sainthood anymore? Their hearts pounded. The thunderclouds continued to swell. Suddenly, endless creative power surged, shooting straight into the sky. The Westerners' eyes widened at the sight of such pure creative energy. Had Nuwa's mastery of the great way of creation reached this level? This was heaven itself. In a way, it represented their way of heaven. Nuwa's actions were practically suicidal. The Westerners didn't even need to lift a finger. They could simply wait for her to self-destruct. However, Nuwa's use of the great way of creation allowed her to withstand the onslaught of thunderclouds. The two Westerners could no longer sit idly by. Before they arrived, they'd only been told to hold Nuwa back, never imagining she had become so powerful. If they didn't act, she might actually kill them. In that instant, they unleashed their innate spiritual treasures and charged at Nuwa. Nuwa held her own against the two Westerners, but her attack on heaven had enraged it, and the restraints on her power had tightened, preventing her from using her full strength. The Westerners managed to keep her on the defensive. Before long, another figure arrived outside Honghuang. Junior sister Nuwa, don't be so stubborn. You can't defy God's will. Nuwa scoffed. Is it God's will that can't be defied, or Taoist ancestors? Her words triggered a thunderclap. Even Yuanshi was shocked by Nuwa's defiance. He'd always thought of her as the gentlest of them all. Now it seemed she was the most rebellious. How could she say such treasonous things? What was she planning? Since you insist, we'll have to suppress you together. Yuanshi joined the fray. As soon as he unfurled the map of mountains and rivers, Nuwa felt the pressure increase dramatically. Suddenly, Lu Feng's indignant voice rang out. Hey, come on. A bunch of old men, ganging up and bullying my teacher. Lu Feng immediately produced the Zhuxian sword formation. The Zhuxian sword formation instantly trapped Yuanshi and the others. Yuanshi's eyes widened in shock. Before he could react, Lu Feng handed control of the formation to his teacher. With the Zhuxian sword formation at her command, Nuwa wasted no time in activating it. Wind, thunder, water, and fire raged within the formation, accompanied by relentless sword energy. The very fabric of space seemed to tear, and Yuanshi and the Western sages felt their blood roiling. How is this possible? How do you have the Zhuxian sword formation? Before Yuanshi could finish speaking, he was struck by a brutal wave of sword energy, destabilizing his soul. The two Westerners, with their weaker cultivation, fared even worse. Their painstakingly cultivated golden bodies were torn to shreds. Yuanshi was beyond furious. Tong Tian, how dare you defy God's will? That he never imagined that Lu Feng would possess the four immortal slaying swords. If Tong Tian hadn't secretly helped, how could they have trapped him and the others? Lu Feng simply picked his ears, not bothering to explain. Teacher, should we go? Having solved Nuwa's immediate problem, the master and apprentice wasted no time flying toward the human race. Although Lu Feng and Nuwa moved swiftly, the monsters were too numerous. Even with the demon-slaying sword, Xuandu was reaching his limit, his sword swings slowed, and his spiritual energy dwindled. The seedlings the human race had nurtured for thousands of years were being wiped out in the massacre. Only Xuandu and a small band of humans remained standing on the battlefield. As Xuandu depleted the last of his spiritual energy, his grip on the demon-slaying sword loosened, the sword clattered to the ground, embedding itself in the soil. The demons surrounding Xuandu rejoiced. He's out of strength. Let's tear him apart. Xuandu, the golden immortal, had killed more demons than anyone else on the battlefield, so, the demon clan had sent a large force to eliminate him. Now that he was finally exhausted, they were eager to tear him limb from limb as tribute to their fallen comrades. Xuandu smiled bitterly, looking at the blood-red sky. Teacher, I've done my best. At the last moment, Xuandu gripped the demon-slaying sword tightly and hurled it with all his might toward the Suiren clan not far away. Ancestor Suiren, catch. Although the Suiren clan was only at the Daoyuo Golden Immortal level, the demon-slaying sword would at least alleviate some of the pressure, but the situation of the Suiren clan and the other 3 human clans wasn't any better. There were simply too many monsters. Chapter 69 Fight to the Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But then, out of nowhere, a wave of holy power slammed into the area. Countless creatures were instantly crushed, reduced to nothing. Only the humans stood firm. Sensing this immense power, Dijuan, Tai, and the others looked to the horizon, stunned. What the heck? Wasn't Nuwa supposed to be held up by Daozu? How could she be here on the battlefield? Nuwa didn't give Dijuan a second glance. She immediately pinned him and Tai down so hard they could barely breathe. Still furious, Nuwa roared, Dijuan, do you even realize I created the human race? How dare you lead the demon race to slaughter them? What do you think you deserve? In a flash, Nuwa knocked Dijuan and Tai flat, shaking them to their core. They never stood a chance against a saint's rage. Lu Feng quickly spotted his own disciple, Xuandu, amidst the humans. He rushed over, handing Xuandu the divine water he'd prepared. What happened here? Drink up. Xuandu didn't hesitate, gulping it down. Seeing Xuandu's dazed expression, Lu Feng patted him on the shoulder, a little annoyed. You'll be okay. Now get back to the cave and heal. We've got saints dealing with this. Nuwa had barely even looked at the battlefield. Keep in mind that during this era, besides Hongjun, there were only 5 saints left. 3 of them were still trapped by the Zhuxian sword formation in Honghuang heaven. Tongtian probably wouldn't show up either. Xuandu nodded immediately. After drinking the divine water, he felt his energy returning and hurried back to his cave to recover. Meanwhile, Dijuan and Tai were burning with anger. Nuwa, you're the Emperor Hua of our demon clan. Are you attacking us now to sever your connection with us? Nuwa scoffed. If cutting ties is what I want, then so be it. Everyone present gasped at her words. But Nuwa wasn't finished. She announced loudly, today, I, Nuwa, am resigning from my position as Emperor Hua of the demon clan, cutting off all karma with them. That the announcement sent shockwaves everywhere. At that moment, Yuanshi and the others, who had finally escaped the Zhuxian formation, arrived on the battlefield. They overheard Nuwa's words and were completely stunned. After a moment, Yuanshi shouted, Nuwa, are you sure you want to do this? Cutting ties with the demon clan means going against heaven's will. Nuwa stood tall. Going against heaven's will is exactly what I want. Her words sent shivers down everyone's spines. Heavenly wrath surged across the land, and Nuwa felt the pressure on her increase tenfold. The war between the humans and demons drew countless powerful observers, including Lao Tzu. Although he wasn't directly involved, he was thrilled to hear Nuwa declare her intent to defy heaven's will, and began plotting his revenge. He should have been a saint by now, but Nuwa and Lu Feng kept ruining his chances. Now, Nuwa was making heaven her enemy. He could foresee her downfall, stripped of her status as a saint, burdened by karma. At that point, dealing with her and her disciple would be a piece of cake. Nuwa was a fool. She was making a huge mistake for the sake of a human race. Even if she achieved sainthood through the creation of humans, her strength now came from the luck of the demon clan. Since the demon clan's inception, there have been 4 demon emperors: Nuwa, Fuxi, Dijuan, Tai. Nuwa and Fuxi mostly ignored the clan's affairs, which paved the way for Emperor Jun and Tai to take charge. Now that Nuwa wanted to cut ties with the demon clan, all the luck tied to them would be stripped away, greatly reducing her power. While the loss wouldn't cause her to fall from the position of saint directly, it would be close. On top of that, she would face punishment from heaven. And all this, for a mere human race. Even Di Jun was confused. Emperor Hua, you enjoy the luck of the demon clan, but now you want to sever your connection and defy heaven's will for the sake of a few humans. Have you really thought this through? Nuwa sneered. Since I became a saint, the demon clan has flourished, growing strong enough to challenge the witch clan. Now you want to destroy the foundation of my sainthood? Do you think I'm an easy target? Nuwa deliberately elevated the status of the human race. Hearing her words, Di Jun felt a twinge of guilt. Yuanshi chimed in, junior sister Nuwa, these are just humans, not enough to shake your foundation. Besides, it's heaven's will for the demon clan to create the witch-slaying sword. Disobeying heaven like this will lead to unimaginable consequences. Nuwa chuckled. Then what would you do, senior brother, if I slaughtered all your disciples? Nuwa's expression changed instantly. Her gaze turned to Jieyin and Zhuanti. If I took the 4 swords of killing immortals to the west, what would you 2 do? The 2 Westerners, who had been about to offer words of persuasion, fell silent. The last time the 4 swordsmen of Zhu Xian came to the west, it was devastated. If it happened again, all their hard work would be for nothing. The 3 saints were silenced. Nuwa sneered and turned to the crowd. All humans, hear my command. The demon clan is wantonly slaughtering humans to refine the witch-slaying sword. From today onward, the human race and demon clan will fight to the death. Thunderclouds rolled in across the sky. Under the clouds, the roars of countless humans echoed. We obey. We obey. To the death. To the death. The thunderous roar spread across the land. Feeling the surge of the human race's power, Di Jun and the others felt a sense of dread. They'd invested so much in the human race, and now the humans' luck was soaring. This was bad news. If the human race grew stronger, would they become a threat to the demon clan? Thinking of this, Di Jun couldn't remain still. No. The human race must be eliminated today. But the moment the thought crossed his mind, Nuwa produced a golden knife. Seeing it, Di Jun felt a sense of foreboding. Chapter 70 Cutting Off Cause and Effect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nuwa raised the golden sword of fortune. Almost instantly, an incredible wave of fortune erupted from it. Simultaneously, the human race's destiny coalesced into 9 golden dragons. Hovering behind Nuwa, Di Jun and the others watched in stunned disbelief. The demon race's destiny surged skyward to confront the human race's. Nuwa simply waved her hand. The sword of fortune unleashed a torrent of power, slamming directly into the demon clan's destiny. A sharp crack rang out. The sword of fortune sliced through a golden beam of light, splitting it in 2. At that moment, Di Jun felt the loss of luck from Nuwa. Yuanshi and the other 2 were visibly shaken. Even as saints, they'd never seen a treasure like the one in Nuwa's hand. It could unleash such raw power and sever fate's connections. Nuwa felt the constraints on her ease as her causal link to the demon clan was severed. She was now free from any ties to them. Hongyun and Zhen Yuanzi were equally shocked. They hadn't expected Saint Nuwa to be so decisive. They'd assumed her position as Emperor Hua of the demon clan would bias her, but Nuwa had truly proven them wrong. Countless powerful beings in the prehistoric world were aghast. No one imagined Nuwa would be so bold as to abandon the demon clan's destiny. That destiny represented incredible power and influence. Those fortunes were incredibly attractive to the saints. Nuwa had sacrificed it all for the sake of humanity. The move earned her the respect of countless powerful figures. In the Kunlun fairyland, Queen Mother, she shook her head in admiration. Nuwa truly was the most impressive female cultivator. Her actions were inspiring. Queen Mother, she wasn't sure she could be so decisive, especially when it came to such overwhelming fortune. While many admired Nuwa's courage, they also understood the full implications of her actions. Nuwa hadn't just severed her connection to the demon clan, she defied the will of heaven itself. As a saint chosen by heaven, this defiance could be a death sentence. At the very least, her position as a saint was at risk, yet, Yuan Shi and the others waited, but nothing seemed to happen to Nuwa. Finally, Yuan Shi couldn't contain himself. "Why aren't you being punished?" he demanded. Not only was Nuwa unscathed, but her aura was now stronger than before. Nuwa simply smirked. "Who said I would be?" As she spoke, the golden dragons of fortune behind her swelled in size, the overwhelming luck surged into Nuwa. With no constraints from the demon clan, the human race's fortune reached its peak. The human race had grown steadily over the years, and while its luck wasn't as great as the demon clans as a whole, it was far greater than the portion Nuwa had shared with the demons. Blessed by the human race's fortune, Nuwa actually gained another level of power. The sight of the 9 golden dragons behind Nuwa made Yuan Shi and the others gape in disbelief. Was that even possible? They had never heard of anyone forcibly severing their karmic fate and not only surviving but becoming stronger. Even Honghuang was surprised by the turn of events. He had been watching the battle closely. He hadn't anticipated Nuwa's intervention. That was why Honghuang had used some tricks to release the 3 people in the Zhuxian sword formation. He never expected Nuwa to break through after severing her luck. Nuwa could already defeat the 3 saints with her 4 swords of killing immortals. Now that she had broken through, Yuan Shi and the others wouldn't stand a chance. Hongzhuan's gaze drifted to the golden sword of fortune in Nuwa's hand. Most didn't recognize its significance, but Hongzhuan knew, the golden sword of fortune was a rare treasure of heaven. It was even beyond his reach. How had Nuwa acquired it? Nuwa, oblivious to Hongzhuan's thoughts, focused on Di Jun and the others standing before her. Lu Feng wanted to smack his teacher upside the head. She was definitely his teacher, so bossy. But severing ties with the demon clan would make things much easier down the line. However, words alone wouldn't resolve the situation. Saint Nuwa had intervened in person. Di Jun and Tai Yi showed no signs of backing down, clearly prepared for another fight. After all, Yuan Shi and the others were still present, and indeed, the 3 Yuan Shi nearly screamed in Nuwa's ear. "Junior sister Nuwa, do you realize what you've done? Aren't you worried about the heavenly retribution that awaits you for acting so recklessly?" Nuwa didn't even bother to open her eyes. She simply unleashed the 4 swords of killing immortals. "I'm too tired to argue with you. How about we just fight? What do you say?" Nuwa wasn't really seeking their opinion. As she finished her sentence, the 4 swords of Zhu Xian hurtled toward Yuan Shi and the others. The expressions on the Yuan Shi people's faces grew worse. They had already been trapped by the Zhuxian sword formation once. That time had already damaged their vitality. Now that he is trapped for the 2nd time, who knows if he will be directly strangled in the formation. So the 3 of them did not dare to delay at this moment, and immediately summoned their magic weapons, hoping to break the formation quickly. Just when Nuwa was fighting with Yuan Shi and others, suddenly a shadow of a pagoda fell from the horizon. The beard was drawn quickly and urgently, but in the blink of an eye, Lu Feng was hit hard. Everyone looked up and saw that I also appeared on the battlefield. He held the pagoda in his hand and said coldly, "Junior sister Nuwa, if you continue to be stubborn, then can your disciple's life be saved? I can't guarantee it." Nuwa never expected that I would take action in the middle, and directly grab Lu Feng, and immediately roared. If you dare to hurt Lu Feng even half a hair today, I will let you come here with your life and come back without your life." That the killing intent in Nuwa's body was enough to show that what he just said was not a joke. In fact, Hongyun and Zhen Yuanzi were both stunned at this moment. I acted quickly and urgently. Now that Lu Feng is in my hands, their original proactive situation suddenly turned into passive. At this moment, Lu Feng was staying in this exquisite pagoda, listening to the movement outside. Lu Feng's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. This old man specializes in sneaking up on people from behind. Do you really consider yourself a vegetarian?